So
Okay,
Listen to this for a couple minutes here.
Friday. We made it. Anyway,
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Friday, July 16, 2021. I'm laughing. Why am I laughing? Well, I guess we'll talk about that in a moment. How about this? So right now,
Laughing. Why am I laughing? Well, I guess we'll talk about that in a
turn
moment.
on Bloomberg, Fox Business,
how about this?
any of
So
the mainstream channels.
right now,
laughing.
why am I laughing? Well, I guess we'll talk about that in a
Turn
moment.
on Bloomberg, Fox Business,
How about this?
any of the
So
mainstream channels.
right now,
Okay.
why am I laughing? Well,
Joey, I had to put you on mute because that's not the way I wanted to introduce my show. And I'm fine if you want to put something on there, but let's have a little plan first. So, yeah, okay. I was watching a little bit of Luke Ford, and he was talking about, when people say they see through the bullshit, and that becomes part of their personality, but they can't see through their own bullshit. Once they believe they know the quote unquote truth and the reality, and they believe they see through the bullshit, it becomes kind of part of their ego, and they can't necessarily be challenged, and they also become myopic. Do you have a comment on that, Joey?
Of course, I do. And you're loud. Oh, you muted. We live in a time, and you've probably heard it more times than you'd like to admit it. But we're living in a period of revelation. And I don't mean that in the biblical sense, but the revelation of method is a real interesting concept. And it doesn't matter how far back you go back in history, if you do enough looking and you have the understanding of something that's out there called Twilight language and the concept of revelation of method, it's easy to come to this kind of place where I think a lot of people are stuck, kind of in a time where when the truth is revealed, it's also hidden. And it's also like if we see truth as being frozen and then thawed and then repeat the cycle. So it's like it's a never-ending stream. And that's why I always tell people you got to be very discerning about the information you accept, and that you do your best to think on your own 2 feet and don't let anyone tell you what's right and what's wrong. And certainly don't let the chair people from the Federal Reserve come out and give you their underestimated unemployment numbers and then try to tell you that you need to go get the jab. Don't take your medical advice from these sort of outlets. That seems to have been in just part of the mainstream consciousness now for too long, and it's corrupting and it's strange. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that today. Brian?
Yeah, I was promoting the show a little bit.
Oh, me too. Spread the links around. You're listening to Transparency and Merit. We're only 4 minutes in. Let people know that we are working on a bunch of things. We're going to have T-shirts and all kinds of stuff at our website, and our videos, more importantly, transparencymerit.com. But yeah, so what is your version of brutal honesty? Why do you think there's a lack of honesty?
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, this has always been the case, where there has been, from time immemorial, since human beings have begun to talk, to avoid punishment, there's been a lack of honesty. And when your ego, if a person's ego gets punished, well, they're gonna try to protect that. And I think people make mistakes, and they think they're right and they're doing the correct thing, and when they're wrong, that's when they want to like shut things down and basically ignore the subject. I talked about this. I remember, and I don't know if I said this on YouTube. I mean, on YouTube or not, or I said it on Discord. But over 10 years ago, I talked to Tim Wise, and those of you who don't know Tim Wise, Google him, TIMWISE. I tweeted to Tim Wise and asked him about what's going on in South Africa with regards to white farmers. And he said it's a really bad situation, but it's not as bad, as things were under apartheid. But he agreed that the situation was bad, and I began to just continue to correspond with him. I forget what I said, but he didn't correspond with me after that. And then I remember Tucker Carlson mentioning South Africa. I think it went down, a few channels before that, but that automatically just got shut down as a complete white supremacy talking point. And there was none of this. Yeah, it's a bad situation. They had none of that. There was no empathy. There was no nothing. And this is because, in the 90s, these people, apartheid's bad. We got to bring in a new regime, one man, one vote. And now the country's gone to garbage, and they don't want to talk about it anymore. They don't want to talk about their failures. They just want to talk about, it seems like, they just want to talk about the new issue. And today the new issue is police brutality. The new issue is equity over equality, all this other stuff. But some of the stuff that they've done before and they've championed have become failures. And you can see those failures. And they don't want to address it or talk about it. And it's like, there was a time when they would talk to you. Now I think the ruling thing is now, on average, is leftists do not engage. They only slander and just ghost. And they ghost you at best. They'll slander you at worst. I don't know if you have a comment on that, Joe, but that's what I'm seeing.
Well, it kind of fits with what I'm saying too. There's kind of this duplistic nature of language, and I've told people recently that I feel politicians are not to be trusted in all of this, but at the same time, I don't think the people at the top of the chain are necessarily going on camera and lying. I think they're just speaking in a language that most people they don't interpret. It's not that they can't, it's that they won't. And so that there's a certain level of apathy, and there's also this feeling that we're locked down in some kind of mental trap set up by some sort of I don't know, secret government or occulted reality, and with no chance of escaping it. And so there's like this sense of doom, trapped again in this kind of revealing of secrets, and at the same time freezing of secrets. And there's Yeah. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm not sure how to, guys like Tim Wise and I don't know so much Tim Wise, but I'm talking about more about the internet sleuths. They're out there, making money and getting millions of hits and subscribers based on this sort of these agendas that are half hidden, half revealed, and nobody knows, I think, exactly where the truth resides, unfortunately. But people need to start taking action. I keep hearing people more and more be vocal. And I went to the pool supply store yesterday, and the guys that work there, there's two of them. They informed me. It was noon yesterday, and there had been news released that there was going to be a mandate, that there was going to be a new mask mandate here in California, and I didn't know about it, but the guy there told me about it. He was wearing a mask, and he's like, did you hear about this and that? And he and I see eye to eye on a lot of politics, and so we were just kind of in shock for a minute, and it felt good to talk to somebody that I agree with when he told me that this is 100% bullshit. And he told me stories of people he knows working in the medical industry who would confirm that. And it really, it made an impact on me that, people in my own community see through the rhetoric and the nonsense. But yet in his case, he's stuck by these rules of commerce. And I don't know if that applies to exactly what you were saying. So I got lost there for a minute.
Well, I mean, there are times when, the truth is, a lot of times we are being bullshitted, but you can't make that as part of your ego, because sometimes people are telling you, like, liars can tell the truth at times as well as they can lie. They don't always lie. But once they
well, it's a story of Pinocchio, isn't it? Pinocchio began as a wooden toy and was had a proclivity towards telling lies and focused on lesser, having fun and more kind of like egotistical sort of things. And it wasn't until Pinocchio accepted learning and working at a goal that he became real. This is one of the best stories ever created in literature, and I think we're kind of seeing. I see a lot of Pinocchios walking around. What do you think?
Yeah, but they're not redeeming themselves at all. I mean, they just they continue to lecture us. It's kind of like we're in a house with a bad parent, and we're dependent on that bad parent, and they're lecturing us. But the thing about the lecturing of us is we've seen right through what you've done already. We've seen, like when Brian Stelter tells us, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of reach. First of all, you're not, your sources are not, you've been proven to be dishonest. You've lost lawsuits saying that you're misinformed, and they continue, and they're continuing with the propaganda, and they believe that they're right. They believe that they are absolutely correct in what they're doing, and that's where it's dangerous. When ego and fanaticism meet, and I think ego is the driving force with fanaticism. It's a dangerous combination, and we're seeing people who really believe that they have the people's best interest. And I mean, to me, I don't think that there are people behind the door, oh, we're going to have a reset and now we're going to gain all the money. I don't believe that. I believe that they think that they are doing good. Go ahead. I mean,
You're right. There's a lot of talk about two specific options, the Nisara and the Jasara, a national and I think a global version of an economic reset. And I'm telling you, it in my view, it's no more of a trap than the the original reason for insane asylums were places of refuge and protection, mainly for gifted and troubled people who, if they were left to their own devices, would be exploited, mistreated, and used and abused by the outside world. And so a lot of these people were given certain forms of treatment, right? They were given electroshock therapy, and of course they were given a lot of drugs that were very there were no long-term studies on a lot of those drugs at the time. This wasn't that long ago. This was in the 70s. You and I were alive and kicking at that time, but that was still being used. Now, and there's plenty of documented case studies of otherwise brilliant minds electroshocked hundreds, or over 100 times or hundreds of times, and were rendered useless, babbling idiots. Are we, in some sense, being subjected to that in other forms today? I gotta wonder. I don't know if that kind of ties it together, but where I'm at, but yeah, a lot of bullshit out there, and you just have to be on top of it and thinking on your own 2 feet.
I think that people tie motives into people's intent, and I don't see a big cabal, but these people believe. The Nazis believed, hey, we're doing the good for the people and we're being treated evilly. Now we see, and the same thing with the communists. They believe, hey, man, we are doing it for the good of the people. BLM believes they're doing things in the good of the people, the good for humanity, and this and that. And really, they're, we have to defend the rioters and the degenerates and everybody else, because in the end, this is for the good of humanity. We have to defund the police for the good of humanity, because the police don't protect us from the degenerates. It's the degenerates that need help. And I'm not saying that all police are good. I mean, because you have two sides. You have the police enforcing some of these mask laws and these other, and shutting down businesses while keeping other businesses afloat. But they all, whether it's the mask laws, whether it's the rioting, whether it's, regardless of what it is, these people think what they're doing is in the name of good. They think that stopping information about the COVID vaccine is good, because they say it's misinformation and misinformation is dangerous. But sometimes they have misinformation. But no, the thing of it is, when they have misinformation, nothing happens to them. They can have all the misinformation they want, but they're considered reliable sources. They're the establishment. When the establishment has nonsense information, they can, they don't get punished. But when a smaller source, for a smaller YouTube channel or something, gets something wrong or perceives to get something wrong, they're shut down immediately. we're not living in a fair society and a noble society, but these people think that they're fair and noble. And they're, a lot of times when they're exposed, it really hurts their feelings and it hurts their ego. So they have to shut down that. They have to protect their ego, and the ego protects itself. So we're being run, it seems like we're being basically, the establishment is run by very egotistical and egocentric people who think they know what is right for everyone. And they know what is best, the best way for everyone to live. And this is becoming even more apparent as time goes on. And I don't necessarily know what can be done about it. Because like I said, if they can cancel you and cut you out of the food supply, and cut you out of the economy, hey, they can possibly starve you. Anyway, do you have a comment on that, Joe? I put myself on mute, and Joe has put himself on mute. Now, if Joe does not have a comment, are you still there? Is your Wi-Fi working?
We are here. But go ahead. I have a little choppiness here.
Okay, so we had a little bit of choppiness. So what I'm going to do is, I think, unless Joe has something to say before I end it, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. We are here basically, I don't want to say we're fighting tech censorship, but we are censored. I mean, YouTube is not what it was 11, 15, 20 years ago. It's far more censorious, and it's there to it's there to promote an agenda. Basically, it's when it censors, it's saying if you're speaking against the establishment, anything that goes against the establishment at this point will be heavily censored, and good, bad, or indifferent. Anyway, this has been Brian and Joe with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Do you have anything to add, Joe, before I end this puppy?
Well, you said good, bad, or indifferent. I'll say all bad. Any censorship is going to be bad. But
Yeah, no, you're right. Censorship is bad, regardless of how you cut it. Joe and I both believe that people are not children to be guided to what they can and cannot hear. We're all adults, and we can decipher information for ourselves. At least we should. If we can't do that, what good are we? Anyway, hey, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. If I'm allowed to leave a comment, sometimes I'll do something and it disables the comments. I don't want the comments to be disabled, but that's what they do. So like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and visit our website at transparencyandmerit.com. Thank you.